Welcome to the MMA Fan Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Stu and Blake.
Davey Grant, how you doing, mate?
Hello, Blake. Nice to meet you, mate. You're good.
Good. Lovely to see you. How are things? How's things going?
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, over in Vegas, I've been here for like nearly 3 weeks now. It's nice to get like properly acclimatized to the weather and everything. The dryness really of anything in Vegas. So it's been a nice finish off the camp. Yeah, definitely.
So it's three weeks you've been in Vegas. Like, have you been over at the PI there? Have you been?
Yeah.
Like, how's things been going? How is the PI? I've heard amazing things about it.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's one of the best gyms I've ever been in, to be honest. It's they've got everything there. I mean, you can schedule in for like your strength and conditioning. You get two like physio appointments a day. You get all your food, by all the top nutritionists in the world. Like, they sort out all your meal plans, everything. Honest, it's like there's no better gym for an MMA fighter. Like,
I'd like to just sneak in and grab some food. That sounds good.
Let me know next time you're over. I'll get you.
Yeah, we go for lunch.
So is it like a who's who, Davey? Is it like, you're walking down the corridors and you spot someone over there, and is everybody hanging out there?
Yeah, Stu, honest, it's like it's weird because like I'm an MMA fan of like I have been for years. Do you know what I mean? And like you're walking past like and you're rubbing shoulders with like some of the top stars, and it's just everyone's just around, and it's a bit surreal. You feel like, oh my god, I can't believe. You get a bit starstruck seeing some of these guys. I've seen I mean, who was in the other week? It was like Brandon Moreno, obviously, flyweight world champion. I'd never seen him. I'm a big fan of watching him.
Yeah.
Obviously, Tommy Fury was in. He was just smashing pads in the ring, and he's got that big fight with Jake Paul coming up. And I watched him on, was it like Love Island or something like that with my wife? You know what I mean? So you're sitting and you're watching these, and you're like big celebrities. You know what I mean? And yeah, just walking around. It's pretty cool.
Oh, lovely
Awesome
stuff. Well, Davey, before we can sort of carry on talking about, what's ahead, I just want to sort of go back a little bit. And before you even got into MMA, we'll lead into how that happened. But I just want to ask you, sort of growing up north, was there a kind of almost like a feeling that you had to learn to be able to sort of look after yourself? And was it a rough place you grew up in? And was conflict something you was comfortable with?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in like Bishop Auckland, and then moved to Dalton for a little bit, and then back to Bishop Auckland. And like, it's a northern town. We're all rough, like it's.
We're all rough.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's just like that's how a lot of people settle the differences. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't say that's why I got into it. Like, growing up, I was just I was into any sports, to be honest. And like I wasn't too sure what MMA was. Even when we started it, we didn't even call it MMA when I started it. You know what I mean? We called it like Valley Tudo or shootboxing. I think I was about 14 when I started. It was like 2001. And like the term MMA hadn't even come about yet. You know what I mean? But I was more into football when I was growing up. I absolutely loved football. Football was like my first ever love. And if I was any good at football, I probably wouldn't have been a fighter if I could have got signed by anyone. Do you know what I mean? But when I started the MMA, I mean, it helps out because it does give you a feeling of confidence if anything did kick off in the street, sort of thing, that you can either like evade the sort of danger or if you can handle yourself in any of those sort of situations. So I mean, it definitely helps, and I think, in all honesty, I think everybody should learn how to handle themselves just in case. I've got my kids training in MMA, and I've trained loads of other kids in MMA, and I always look at it as like sort of a life skill, where like a bit like swimming, where you don't really want to fall in a pond, but you want to be able to know you can get yourself out. Do you know? Yeah. So yeah, it probably with it being the north and like the way it can be, it's a nice skill to know, definitely.
It's funny what you say about like the kids and stuff, because I've done the same thing. My daughter goes to like a kind of grappling class and all that kind of stuff. And I heard you in an interview actually talking about you doing karate at about 8 years old, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, was it like the sensei's wife or the coach's wife or something like that would go quite hard on you, and she was like a black belt and you were 8 years old? And I wanted to ask you, like, in terms of like teaching young kids, do you think that the martial arts world has evolved a bit and developed a bit? Because that, to me, if I walked into a class and saw like the teacher's spouse beating up my daughter or something, I'd be like, hang on a minute, she's out of here. I'm not having this. But do you think that kind of training develops a hardness that's a good thing, or do you think no, that stuff's not right, and we've evolved as a community now to kind of teach kids with more compassion and a bit easier?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I look back now and I think it was more child abuse than anything, to be honest. I shit myself. Honest to God, I shit myself. I was like, oh, God, I'm nowhere near tough enough for this karate stuff. Do you know what I mean? And it was nerve-wracking when they were like, right, we're going to spar. I was like, oh, I was getting my nose busted and everything. Do you know what I mean? It was definitely not the right way to go about it. And like, I don't think the kids need toughening up. I get that a lot. Oh, we need to toughen the kid up. I'm sort of like, look, in my point of view, I'm not going to get any kids, like make them have hard sessions and that's going to make them tough. From my point of view, toughness is a byproduct that comes with skills and confidence. So you build the skills, you build the confidence, and then in turn, they feel as if they can handle themselves a bit more. That's what it is. It's not like, not with kids. You know, like I don't get them sparring hard. If it looks a bit uncomfortable for them, I'll pull them out. It's more important that they enjoy it, learn the skills, gain the confidence from it, and then keep coming back and keep getting better. And like, if they don't enjoy it, what's the point in doing it? You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it anyway.
Yeah, no, I think you're 100% right, mate.
And talking about sparring there, Davey, and, you know, you've, from the Ultimate Fighter House, you know, you've been a real flag waver for the British MMA scene. And you know, and over that time, we've seen some, you know, incredible changes and developments. A couple of questions. I'd like to know what you think has been, you know, some of the most significant and important changes you've seen in that over the years in the British scene. And also, I just wonder if your approach to sparring has changed over the years, because, you know, you see so many conflicting kind of opinions from different fighters, where some fighters still like to spar hard and regular, and other fighters, you know, rarely spar now. You know, I just also want to get your take on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way that we train MMA now has developed a hell of a lot from when I first started. I was sort of a bit more like the hard, look, go hard or go home type thing. We thought we were doing good. I used to train not only hard in sparring, but like hard just physically on my body. Sometimes I used to do 4 sessions a day, and 2 of them could be sparring. You know, I remember back in the day, on a Friday, on my training schedule, because I did the same sort of thing every week, I had a really hard strength and conditioning session on the morning at like 6 a.m. And then we used to go straight to a really hard MMA session at 10 a.m. Then I used to go home, rest, eat, do whatever I want. And then I used to be at a boxing gym on a night to get sparring in with the boxers, used to spar hard, and then a Thai boxing gym straight afterwards to spar hard. And like, looking back now, that was ridiculously too hard for one day. In my mind, I thought I was doing a good thing. And I think a lot of people used to train like that. So, I mean, we train a hell of a lot smarter now. As far as the sparring and things go, I mean, I think there's definitely a place for hard sparring in your training. You know, it's a certain level of cardio, what you'll only get. And even just sort of getting put under that sort of pressure, I feel like it's needed. I don't spar as hard and as much as what I used to, but I don't feel like I need to prove my toughness anymore. It's not like I feel like and it's a bit different for me to maybe someone who's just getting into the MMA scene, or maybe just starting to get those harder fights, or starting to get on the local scene or something, and they probably need to be still getting the hard rounds in. I definitely think you need to spar, but as you get on in your career, I think when you get a little bit older, you probably don't need to spar as much, and you maybe like nowadays I like the fact that I just listen to my body, and if I need to have a day off from training, it's not because I'm being lazy. I know I'm not lazy. Do you know what I mean? It's like before I used to think, oh God, I've got to go train. Don't you just being a pussy or whatever. And it's not. It's just your body's fucked. It's just telling you, look, I need a rest. Do you know what I mean? So I'm over those sort of like those stigmas about not sparring hard enough and not training hard enough. I know my body now, and I still enjoy sparring. To me, it's one of the best bits. You don't want to be knocking 10 bells of shite out of each other every fucking day. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to have good effects on the brain. This is hard enough on your body as it is. I feel like I've still got my marbles. You know what I mean? I don't think I'm too punch drunk yet, in all honesty. So I curb the sparring a bit to what I used to do. And once I retire, I'll not be sparring very much at all. Maybe just a little bit of light sparring for fun.
Yeah.
But I think it's very individual. Some fighters probably feel as if they need to spar really hard coming up to fights, and some fighters don't really want to spar as much. So there's a place for it. I don't think it should be done all the time as hard as you can. Like, you shouldn't be getting knocked out or getting rocked in sparring all the time. And sticking with your weight classes, that's a big thing. Because when we first started, there might have only been a couple of people in the gym anyway. You'd spar who you'd spar. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like I remember when I first was sparring, I was sparring big heavyweights, and I was getting kicked halfway across the ring off one kick. You know what I mean? It was fucking mental. There's some big guys, and they were going hard on me. And nowadays, I just try and spar with the people in my weight class. It's just been, but there's a lot more depth in the training camps and stuff like that, and like people to go with. It's just a little bit more educated, I'd say.
You've spoken about like physical toughness there a lot. In terms of mental toughness, I wanted to ask you kind of how you overcame just after your UFC debut, because you had your UFC debut. You probably spent a large portion of your life trying to get to the UFC, get to that level. And then you have constant injuries. That means you basically don't fight for about 2 years. I wanted to ask you, how difficult was that, and how did you manage to kind of overcome that mentally? Because that must have been so hard for you to have achieved your goal and be so happy about that, and then go, oh, now I can't fight for 2 years because of these injuries that keep coming in. How difficult was that, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it was a nightmare. It was absolutely torture. It was like you work so hard to get somewhere, and then to get pulled. I got pulled. It was 2.5 years I got out altogether from being on the Ultimate Fighter, I think. Or even it might have been it was. And then one of them was that I got pulled on the week of the fight. And this was, so like, the thing with fighting, I mean, you guys know, is everyone's always on to the next hot topic, you know, like it's like, it's very, very, very quick moving, you know, and like as soon as one fight is forget about, then straight onto another. There's so many things going on. There's so many guys to watch and so many exciting fights happening that I had like probably a good bit of momentum coming off the Ultimate Fighter. And then it just fizzled right out. I had 2.5 years where no one had a clue who I was when I came back. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's so many new fans coming towards the sport and things like that. So it was like I had to sort of try and gain that momentum again. And I'll be honest, it was a bit of hit and miss. It was like, you know, I got a great fight when I came back, and when it was the first time when I beat Cheeto. And then I had a few bad results. So I never really got that momentum going again. It was like, because it would have been easier to just keep it rolling. Definitely if I hadn't had those injuries. I mean, as far as in my head, I'd always knew I was still going to fight. It was like I was never going to work that hard long. I could have had 5 years off, and I'd have still got, the UFC said, look, don't worry about it, because I was getting worried that the UFC were going to get pissed off for me, because I was like, I couldn't fight. And then I was getting back from the surgery and then fucking myself again in training, and then having to get another surgery. It was honest. It was torture. It was scary, because I was thinking, what if the UFC just get rid of me? But like Sean Shelby was saying, look, don't worry. Like, you take as much time as you need. People have had longer time off than this. Said, you just come back when you're healthy. That's all he just kept on telling me. So I waited till the right time. And then I feel like only now, from the last like few fights, that I've started to get a good bit of momentum back from what I could have been. It would have been nice to get that sort of rolling straight after the Ultimate Fight. And like, and there's 2 years I could have had, like, I mean, within 2.5 years, I could have had maybe 6 or 7 extra fights.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I was active like I am now, it was disappointing, but you just got to stick at it, and then realize that, like, I'm here for the long run.
And just, you know, while we're talking about the kind of sort of mental sort of capacity for fighting, and I want to ask you about your routine. So when you're in that room before you get the call that you're walking out, have you got a routine? If so, like what is that, if you want to say, obviously? And then as you're walking out to the octagon, what's generally going through your head?
That honestly, I don't know. And I just have a light warm up. I get myself nice and loose. I try not to do too much in the warm up, and I'm just like, champion, now we get to go. Do you know what I mean? It's like fight day. It's just like waiting about for something. Do you know what I mean? It's like the day before you go on holiday. You know what I mean? It's like you just can't wait to go. You know, so it's like, yeah, as soon as they come and then you still, right, it's time to go. I'm just like, right, this is time to go on. Just got to switch it on now. I tend to think of the fight as, it's hard to explain, but the fight's everything, like what I've been working for. And there's no point worrying about anything if it's not the fight. Do you know what I mean? So like, don't worry about the fight when you get in there. Just get in there and turn it on for 3-5s. That's it. Nothing else matters. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter if I had the worst training camp. Doesn't matter if I had the best training camp. So I literally don't anything bother me. I try and just stay relaxed as possible. Get in there and turn it on, and that's it. You know, because that's all that matters. You've just got to be switched on for 3-5s at your best, 100%. So nothing else matters before then. So I just can't wait to get in there and start throwing.
And
and
that is exactly what separates fighters from people like Blake and me.
Yeah.
I mean, I can think of nothing more terrifying. You're equating it to like that feeling you get just before you go on fucking holiday.
Yeah, you must go on some crazy holidays. Yeah, no, Matt. I mean, you're talking about like the momentum of turning it on. I mean, and then some for you of late. I mean, all right, you went on a 3-fight win streak and 2 cracking knockouts as well over Martinez and Day. I think it was Day.
Yeah, Matt Day, yeah.
I mean, they were cracking knockouts. I mean, and you looked phenomenal in those fights. And then obviously you fought Vera again, who's gone on a tear. I mean, Vera's ranked probably like 7th or something like that. But even though you did lose that fight, you still got a fight of the night bonus, which I think was like 3 performance bonuses in a row. So, I mean, I wanted to ask you, how much extra kind of excitement and joy do you get when you win and get those, you're getting that performance bonus? And does it cushion a loss when you know you've got a fight of the night bonus?
I mean, yeah, it does a little bit. It's, I mean, it's fantastic when you go and get the win and then the bonus. Don't get me wrong. Do you know what I mean? There's not much better feeling in the world. But as much as it does cushion, I'm not here just for the money either. Do you know what I mean? It's like, don't get us wrong, the money's a great bonus, but I started doing this for free. I do it because I love it, to be honest. So it does, but when you do get a little bit more money on your purse and stuff, it makes you feel better, but you're still absolutely good about getting beat. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like I was good for a while. I mean, it's always going to be the nature of the beast. You know, like one person wins and one person loses usually, and it is what it is. But it's hard to take when you get whether I was getting like twice as much money as that or anything. I don't care how much money I was getting paid. I'm a born winner, a born competitor, and I want to win. Do you know what I mean? It's like if I just. It's weird because I just absolutely love winning. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not a bad loser either. I'll hold my hands up. I just like winning a lot more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so it's always going to be a bit disheartening just not to get the win. I mean, if me and you played rock paper scissors now and I lost, I'd be good. Do you know what I mean? For nothing. Do you know what I mean? That's just my mentality.
I'm glad you said rock, paper, scissors, because you said, if me and you clenched your fist, I was like, I'm not going anywhere near you, mate. What are you talking about? I've already lost. I give up. But no, I mean, look, we're very short on time now, and we appreciate your time. We need to ask you about Adrian Yanez, who you've got this Saturday night. I mean, I look at that fight as soon as that's announced, and I'm like, I don't know what else is going on that card, but this is earmarked for fight of the night. I mean, Yanez he's 3-0 in the UFC. He's on quite a win streak himself. His last fight with Randy Costa, I mean, he took a lot of damage in that first round, but then obviously did the business in the second round. I mean, in a weird way, I see a few similarities between the two of you. I feel like you're a more technical fighter, but in terms of like being able to take the punch and give the punch and stuff like that, it seems like it's a dead on potentially for a fight of the night, or one of you getting a bonus or something like that. What excites you about Yanez, and how do you see the fight going?
Yeah, look, I mean, he's a scrapper. He comes to fight. You know, I love that. I love the fact that he comes to fight. I love the fact that I can get in there and I'm not worried about no one trying to hug my legs. You know what I mean? It makes it really exciting for me. The way he fights, the way I fight. I mean, it's going to be fireworks. It's going to be, yeah. This is going to be a great fight for the fans. Definitely.
Wonderful,
Fantastic.
wonderful. And so we should also, training's going well, weight cut's going well, everything's on point.
Yeah, spot on. Like I'm like ready to start cutting now. Do you know what I mean? I've just got what day is it today? Wednesday. So yeah, everything's perfectly on track. So weight's not going to be a problem, and yeah, refuel and ready to go.
Right.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Davey, like we really appreciate all the time you've given us today, and yeah, just best of luck on Saturday, mate. We'll be rooting for you.
Honest, my pleasure, guys. That was a fun interview. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks loads, Davey. Best of luck for the weekend, mate.
Thanks, Blake. Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
All the best, mate. Thank you.
Cheers, pal. Bye.
All right.